Welcome back to the Gemara in Bava Kama. It's Daf Chet Amud Bet. We're starting at the very bottom of the Amud where we left off. The Gemara is going to start with a new case introduced by Abaye. Ve'amar Abaye, Reuven shemachar sadeh l'Shimon, shelo ba'achrayut. Reuven sold a field to Shimon without achrayut, without this kind of guarantee. So without saying like, oh, I'll pay you back if somebody comes to claim the land. I sold you because I owe them money. V'yatzu alea asikin, and protesters come, basically. People come to say, no, you can't really sell that land, or that you can't really buy that land because that land really belongs to us. Reuven really didn't have the rights to buy that land. And you can imagine that land is very different than what we call metaltalin, movable property. It's not like the land was like, I couldn't show ownership of it in the same way. It's not like it was in my house and I sold it to you. There was a field out there and I sold it to you, and now people are saying that really wasn't your field to sell. Ad shelo hechzik ba, yachol lachzor ba. Until the buyer, right, in this case Shimon, has had a chance to really express ownership of the land. It's called chazakah or hechzik ba. He can go back on the sale. So the way this works is, the way that I show ownership of land is by showing in some way that it's mine, by fixing it up. If it's a house, maybe painting it and, I don't know, cleaning the windows, right? I show that it's mine in some way. That's called hechzik ba. That's called having a chazakah on land. So if the buyer hasn't done that yet, then the buyer can say, oh, you know what? These people just came to protest. I changed my mind. I want my money back. I want to back out of the sale. But once Shimon has done this chazakah thing, then he can't go back on the sale. He can't say, just kidding, I want out. You can have your land back and I want my money back. My taima, what's the reason? Ze amarle, chayta dekatre savart v'kibalt. Because he can say to him, meaning the seller can say to him, can say to the buyer, a chayta dekatre, basically like a bag of air is what you thought you were getting, or it's what you asked for, and that's what you got. In other words, you were the foolish one to buy a field without achrayut. So once you've done chazaka on it, and so you've officially acquired this land, don't come running to me to tell me, oh, it's so unfair. These people are saying that I don't really own the land because you didn't really own the land. That's your fault for entering into this kind of deal without achrayut. Me'imat havai chazaka. From when can we say that there is a chazakah? Right? At what point has the buyer been considered to do this chazakah thing such that he actually irreversibly owns the land? Mechidayesh amatzre. From the time that he, literally this means he tramples the borders. So he basically creates boundary markers between his field and other fields. Apparently this is what they would do. They would kind of squish down the land around the edges of the field so that you could see the perimeter of the field. You could see kind of the border markers. So this is something, I guess, that you would do once you owned land, or when you bought a field. You would go out and squish down the boundaries around the field to show, hey, this is my field. So once the buyer does that, that's considered to be a chazakah, and he can't go back on the sale. He can't undo the sale and ask for his money back. V'davka shelo ba'achrayut. But the Gemara clarifies, this is only in a case where there's no achrayut. Aval ba'achrayut, lo. But if there is achrayut, right, if he did sell it with a guarantee, then this is not the case. Meaning, then the buyer could back out even later, right? Because in that case, the achrayut, the guarantee says, well, you know, I promise to pay you back the money, right? I promise to let you back out of the sale if anyone comes to claim the land. So either way, the seller is going to have to pay him back. So in the case of achrayut, even after the chazaka, the buyer can still back out. The ikad amrei, and there are those who say, afil ba'achrayut nami. No, this applies also in a case where there is achrayut. De amar le, because he can say to him, Reuven, A, the seller, can say, ach ve'tzirpech ve'ashalem lecha. Basically, show me the receipt, show me the piece of paper that says that they took the land back from you, and then I'll pay you back. Right? I'm not giving you the money until you prove to me it's not that the land was actually taken away from you. It's not enough to just tell me, oh, they're annoying me. They're like saying that I don't really own the land. I'm going to put this as part of the answer, although I could imagine making another color for an ikad amrei, which is an alternative understanding of the answer, or an alternative version of the answer. Rav Huna Amar, so this is a new statement. It actually goes back to our previous conversation about how to read the pasuk or the psukim. O kesef o meitav. You can either give money or you can give the best of your land. Hopefully you remember this conversation where we debated what was actually better to give. Eitave Rav Nachman le Rav Huna. Rav Nachman contradicts Rav Huna. Yeshiv, this word, yeshiv, to return, to give something, l'rabot shaveh kesef. That comes to include things that are worth money. Afilo subin, even bran. Right? So the Breita explicitly says that you can pay even with bran, and that's not money, and it's not meitav. It's something that's worth money. So how can you say that these are the only two options? Hacha b'mayaskinan. What are we dealing with here? What's this case actually in the Breita? B'deleitle. It's a case where literally he has none, meaning the damager has no land or money. Right? He doesn't have either, and that's why he can pay with bran in that case in the Breita, but it's only in that case. It wouldn't be in general. Idaleitle pshita. The Gemara doesn't like this answer. If he doesn't have, so then, it should be obvious that he could pay with whatever he has, right? He has no land, he has no money. We have to find something for him to pay back with. So isn't that obvious? Why would the Breita need to tell us that? Mahu detema. What is it that you would have said? In other words, let's show that this isn't actually obvious, because there's something that you might have thought. What is it that you would have thought or said? Amrina and lay. You might have thought that that we can say to him, Zil tarach zavin. Go schlep yourself out. Tarach is like tircha, right? Go trouble yourself to sell some stuff. Ve'aiti le kesef. And bring the guy money. Kamash malan. Therefore, we learn that you don't have to do that. Meaning, the person who has to pay back money and has no money and has no land can say, "Here, take my bran." We don't say to them, but you might have thought we would say to them, "You have bran? Good. You go sell it. You get money, and then you return the money to the creditor." But we don't do that, and that's what the Breita is coming to teach us. That even in a case where the person has no money, we still don't make them sell their stuff. They just can give property back. Amar Rav Asi, Ksafim harehen kekarka. Rav Asi says money is like land, which is either a deep philosophical statement or not. We're not exactly sure. The Gemara is not exactly sure what to do with this statement. L'mai halchata. What regarding what halacha? Like, what are we talking about? Why did he say this? Ilema li'inyan meitav. If you want to say that he was talking about this issue of meitav, of needing to pay back with meitav, hainu to Rav Huna. That's the same as what Rav Huna said. That's the same idea that you can pay either with meitav or with money. I think I'll say that this is an answer that gets rejected, and then this is the rejection of that answer. We're not going to accept this answer because it makes Rav Asi's statement the same as Rav Huna's statement, which is something to think about why that's problematic, but we'll go on. Ella lishnei achim shechalku v'natal echad karka ve'echad ksafim. Rather, we must be talking, or Rav Asi must be talking about a case where there are two brothers who split an estate. They inherited land, or they inherited a whole estate, land, money, whatever. They inherited all these things, and they divided it. And one takes money, and one takes land, right? They decide one will take the land, one will take the cash. Uba ba'al chov v'natal karka. And a creditor, someone to whom presumably the father owed money, comes and takes land. Da'azil hai v'shakil palga b'ksafim behade. So then the brother who had inherited the land, he comes and he takes half of the money from the other brother, right? Because his portion, his land, got eaten into by this creditor coming. Pshita. Nope, that's also obvious. That also seems like an obvious thing. Hai bara v'hai lav bara? Is one a son and one not a son? Question mark, exclamation point. Right? Like, why would you think otherwise? Obviously, they both are meant to inherit. So if they're both sons, so if the land gets taken away from one, he's got to get the money from the other. Ika da'amre. But there are those who say, adarabba. On the contrary, le'idach gisa. It works the other way. The opposite direction. Da'amrale. Maybe I'll do it this way. Da'amrale. Lahachi shachli ksafim. Maybe, no, the brother can't just come. The brother whose land got taken away because his father owed money can't just go to the one with the money and say, okay, now give me half the money. The brother with the money will say to the brother who took the land originally, Lahachi shakle ksafim. That's why I took the money. Di'imeganve lo mishtamna minach. Lahachi shakalt ara di'imetarfa lo mishtamalach. Lo mishtamalach midi minai. So he says, like, I purposely took money so that if it got taken away, right, if someone came to take this money, it would come from you. And so if it's taken from me, I wouldn't be paid back by you. Ulahachi shakalt ara, and you took land with the understanding that if it was taken from you, you wouldn't get paid back by me. In other words, we both knew what we were getting into when we started this, and so I don't have to pay you back at this point. Again, I'm doing this as an answer. It's an alternative answer, but maybe we should have a different ikadamri color in the future. Ella, so new answer to what Rav Asi might mean. Lishnei achim shechalku uba ba'al chov v'natal chalko shel echad mehen. Rather, it's two brothers who split, again, same situation. They split an estate, they split an inheritance, and a Baal Chov comes and takes from the chelik of one of them, right? Takes stuff from one of them. Maybe it could be either, right? Either brother, the money or the land. Veha amra Rav Asi, and Rav Asi was saying, that's the period. Veha amra Rav Asi chada zimna. But Rav Asi already said this once, right? So in other words, maybe what he's talking about is just a situation where, it's the same case, but the Baal Chov came and collected from one, and so, it doesn't matter which one was collected from, the other one's going to be able to pay back. In other words, showing that money and land are really equivalent. But Rav Asi already said this another time to Itzmar, because we have an Amoraic statement. We have this statement already, basically. Ha'achim shechalku, brothers that split in the estate, uba ba'al chov v'natal chalko shel echad mehen, and the creditor came and took, from the piece of one of them. Rav amar batza machloket, u'shmuel amar viter. So in that case, Rav says the original splitting is batel, right? They have to start over. Money was taken from the estate, so they have to resplit all the property. U'shmuel amar viter, and Shmuel says, no, the brother whose stuff was taken, he's viter. He has to give up, and he doesn't get to make a claim against his brother. I'm gonna say that this is the challenge. Oops. I'm gonna say that this is the challenge. And no, this part's the challenge, and then the other part is going to be the proof for the challenge. Although we haven't gotten to the proof part yet. V'Rav Asi Amar, and Rav Asi says in the same case, Notel Ravia Bekarka, V'Ravia B'Maot. And Rav Asi says, well, the thing to do in this case is that he takes a quarter of land or a quarter of money. Meaning, Rav Asi thinks that the brother who was taken from does get paid back from the brother who wasn't taken from, but just a quarter, just a piece of the share. But it can be money or land. So this is the same position as we see Rav Asi potentially holding when he says Ksafim Harehen Kekarka, which would make it redundant, right? Which would mean that we have Rav Asi saying the same thing twice, which the Gemara seems not to like. Rav Amar Batla Machloket. Rav says that the Machloket, right, the original splitting is batel. You have to resplit. Kasavar Ha'achim Shechalku Kiyorshim Havu. Because Rav thinks that these brothers are treated like inheritors, which sounds like it should be kind of obvious, but there are different ways to look at people who inherit. Right, so the portions are inherited, their chalakim are inherited, and the debts are also inherited. This is really part of the answer. It's explaining each of the positions. Ushmuel Amar Viter, and Shmuel says that it's as though they kind of gave up on the brother who got taken from. He has no claim anymore. Kasavar ha'achim shechalku lekuchot. V'kolokeach shelo ba'achrayut dami. Shmuel thinks that the brother no longer has any chalik because brothers who inherit in this way are like buyers. They're like buyers without achrayut, and so he has no claim anymore. Rav Asi Amar, Notel Ravia Bekarka v'Ravia B'Ma'ot, right? He takes some money and some land, or some land and some money. Because he's not totally sure whether they should be treated as inheritors or buyers. So he sort of, he splits the difference. He goes down the middle. Hilkach Notel Ravia Bekarka v'Ravia B'Ma'ot. And that's why he says they take a quarter from the land and a quarter from the money, in keeping with his position that they're basically interchangeable. Elamai, literally this means rather what? So what does Rav Asi actually mean? We're not clear yet. Harehen kekarka le'inyan meitav. It's like, money is like land in terms of it being from the best, right? It has to be the best of the land. Ihachi hainu de Rav Huna. So this is exactly the same still, right? We haven't gotten anywhere. It's still the same as Rav Huna. In other words, the idea that you have to pay for damages with the best land, but maybe you can also use money because money is like land, that's the same as what Rav Huna said. Ihachi hainu de Rav Huna. If so, this is the same as Rav Huna's statement. This was the original objection. So we're basically back where we started from. Right? We understand what Rav Asi said, but unfortunately it seems identical to what Rav Huna said. Ema v'chen amar Rav Asi. So let's say, right, I will say, and in this case this gets accepted, right? Let's just say v'chen amar Rav Asi. The Gemara should have said, and so too says Rav Asi. In other words, we can make it okay that Rav Huna and Rav Asi say the same thing if we just say, well, that's what the Gemara said all along. It said, here's what Rav Huna said, and Rav Asi said the same thing. Okay, we'll stop there.